let's talk depth chart stuff because you know what? The proof was in the pudding today. We've done all of this speculating about what it was going to look like, and we finally got to see today. It may change tomorrow. It may change next week. But for today, a lot of the competitions that you might be worried about.
Before you do that, can I just give the injuries real quick?
I was going to start with that.
Okay, good. All right, you start with that.
Now let's keep in mind the injuries.
Okay.
Cooper DeJean, which broke last night, suffered a hamstring injury. And now the phrasing here was very interesting from Jeremy Fowler, the report at ESPN. Yeah. While he was caught in an awkward position while training. Is that what it was?
That's what I saw in your piece today too. I spoke to a source last night. Just confirmed the injury occurred. I didn't get details about how it occurred, but he'll miss a few weeks here.
What a provocative phrasing! Caught in an awkward position while training. The mind wanders.
My mind does not wander.
So he's out for a couple weeks.
Yes,
Nick Sirianni said that it's going to be incumbent upon Cooper DeJean to get those mental reps in. Howie said they're still very bullish on him long term, but no doubt that I would imagine like a crusty old defensive coordinator like Vic Fangio is not going to just throw this guy into the starting lineup right away. So he's going to have a bit of an uphill battle to make an impact early in the season, I think, but we'll see how that plays out. Also starting on the NFI list, Shaq Davis and Gottlieb Ayedje.
Yes.
And Sidney Brown, as we expected, starts on PUP. And then Landon Dickerson with a lacerated toe and Brett Toth with a hamstring injury, not practicing today, but considered day-to-day because they weren't placed on those lists.
Exactly, yes. And just for clarification, because some of the people who cover the team were asking me this, so I imagine some watching from home might be curious as well. If you're on the NFI or the PUP list going into camp, it preserves the chance to put you on that list during the regular season or for the regular season. Okay,
and you won't count as a roster spot.
It doesn't count as a roster spot then. It counts as a roster spot now, but not then. And then you have to miss at least 4 weeks. Okay, but you're allowed to come back after 4 weeks. So Sidney Brown,
which changed because it used to be 6.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But so Sidney Brown, for instance, Sidney Brown, who hopes to be back week 1. I think actually you and I talked about that a few months ago.
Yeah, I think the bet was actually September. So
okay. So if the Eagles are like, Sidney's close, but we don't think he's ready yet, they can keep him on PUP. Had he not been on that list, he would have had to go on IR. Had he been practicing, he would have had to go on IR. Same thing for non-football injury. And basically what non-football injury means is the injury occurred away from the football facility.
Or doing something that had nothing to do with football.
Presumably away from the football facility.
Yes.
Okay.
My other last injury speculation question, Landon Dickerson, lacerated toe. Do you think it happened at his slip and slide party?
You seem to know quite a bit about slip and slides. Do you think it occurred at the slip and slide party?
Well, I just saw on Instagram that he had a slip and slide party at his house.
I saw that. Yeah. Do you think it occurred during the slip and slide party?
Honestly, yes.
Okay.
I do.
Okay.
How else do you think he lacerated his toe?
Well, there's many ways to lacerate a toe. But
they should change that. There's a lot of ways to skin a cat. They should change that to there's many ways to lacerate a toe.
So the lacerated toe at a slip and slide, would that be from
countless ways to lacerate a toe?
Would that be from a rock in the ground, or would it be setting up?
Well, there's many ways to lacerate a toe on a slip and slide.
I am asking you, like, I mean,
I don't know.
I am not an expert on slip and slides. I've been on a few slip and slides in my day, but not many slip and slides.
You've slipped, you've slid, but you're not a...
I would be a little worrisome about a slip and slide that has an object sharp enough to lacerate your toe. So that's why...
it doesn't take
unless it's in
that
the
sharp of a thing just to give a little nick on the toe.
Where
if you're
on
going
the
fast,
slip and slide are you lacerating your toe? You need
I don't know,
something...
it could be a sharp piece of plastic, Could be the very bottom of the slip and slide.
So something that... So I'm saying I would imagine he might have heard it assembling the slip and slide then.
Possible.
Like when you're actually slipping and slide, I don't want to get on a slip and slide that can lacerate me, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to either.
Slip and slide, yeah. Otherwise, you're slipping and sliding in your own blood, right? I
mean, now we're talking. Let's get freaky.
Yeah, no, there's many ways you can
lacerate a toe.
There's many ways you can lacerate a toe.
No Landon Dickerson. That meant that the first team offensive line was Jordan Mailata, Mekhi Becton in place of Landon Dickerson at left guard, Cam Jurgens, Tyler Steen, Lane Johnson. You said that before practice, Nick Sirianni said, we don't have to make a decision at right guard. That's the good news. But for today, it's going to be Tyler Steen. But what was interesting, because a thing that we talked about in the spring, Matt Hennessy took all his reps at right guard. Today, he was the second-team center. Second-team offensive line was left to right, Fred Johnson, Trevor Keegan, Matt Hennessy, Darian Kennard, and then interestingly, Max Sharping at second-team right tackle, and then followed by, on the third team, Laikin Vakalahi, Trevor Keegan getting double duty at left guard with the threes, Dylan McMahon at center, Jason Poe at right guard, and Aneem Dankwa at right tackle. The big takeaway here, to me, Zach, Becton looks like he really is maybe the top backup at 4 positions, potentially. Getting that spot with Dickerson. We'll see how it plays out with Tyler Steen at right guard. But interesting that he got that spot, and he made the play of the day.
Elaborate.
Very end of practice. The Eagles did a thing that I have never seen them do before. It was 3 successive plays, ones-on-ones. The offense stayed on the field. Then the second-team defense ran on the field for 1 play. Then the third-team defense ran on the field for 1 play. And at the end of those 3 plays, Mekhi Becton ambled over to the sideline, dropped to a knee, and boy, and I've seen some pukes in my day, but it was coming out, fast, voluminous. Looked like Gatorade. It looked like this was not a chunky throw up. This was it's pretty liquid.
Okay.
Looked like Gatorade or whatever other
what type of details we need here?
Substance he was taking. Lot of puke. For sure.
Oh, he's 6'8".
Well, that's
right?
the thing.
6'7",
That's what I'm thinking.
6'8",
Like, this is a monster of a man.
6'7",
so think about
360.
how much bigger his stomach must be than ours. And then to fill that up, and then to unfill that, just think about the volume of that.
Yeah, and then went back in.
Well, yeah, and as he's doing it, Cam Jurgens is like, he wasn't quite like holding his hair back, like, these were sorority sisters or something like that, but he was spraying him with water to cool him down. Good teammate. Then, very shortly after, just pops right back in for one more play. One last pass set at left guard. And you asked about the water ice with Jordan Davis yesterday, whether that would be a red flag. I do think that this was a red flag because it was 1 play after the vomit. And Jordan Davis just sort of took it easy on Mekhi Becton on this play. Where's the killer instinct here? I mean, this guy is... this is a standing 10 count. He's out on his feet. Let's knock this guy over.
I mean, if there's anyone who can understand what it takes to like unload a heavy stomach or a full stomach that big, it would be
good point.
Jordan Davis. So there's a degree of empathy and compassion.
Yeah, maybe. But I mean, we do not want our defensive tackles to have empathy and compassion.
Speak for yourself.
Okay.
So in Mekhi Becton's case, I do think this is going to end up being a competition. Right. And I think the fact that he is playing guard right now, the fact that he is working with the first team, there are other players they can put at left guard there. I think they are very curious to see Mekhi Becton in this role. I don't think this is a matter of getting Mekhi Becton ready as a game day backup. Frankly, I think if that were the case, you'd probably want him focusing on tackle right now. Like swing tackle is more important, in my opinion, than seeing him play left guard. I think you're seeing him play guard because you want to see if he can play guard, and then he can push Tyler Steen. I spoke to Lane Johnson after practice. The question you and I spoke about a few times this summer, which was, do they want to settle on one guy? And yeah, Lane said he wants consistency at that position, but he understands this is going to be a dogfight. And he said Tyler Steen was good today. You can see, he's got more strength. Steen was out there today, but Lane Johnson, I do think, like, wants them to settle on someone here, but also recognizes this is not like Cam Jurgens last year where it's Cam all the way. I think they recognize this is going to be a competition.
And they're messaging it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Last summer they were saying it's going to be Cam and, he's going to get the stuff. And this year, Sirianni, day one, is like, it's going to be Tyler today, but we'll see.
He said, well, I don't need to make that decision now.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So we will see how that plays out. Let's work our way through some of the depth chart stuff before the next ad break. And then after that, we'll talk about some of the plays and everything that we saw, some of the highlights. But go ahead.
Well, just with the offensive line, a positive sign, you think, that Hennessy was playing center?
I don't know, positive or not. I mean, it's hard because we did only see like 3 practices in the spring. So
informative, though?
I think a little bit informative. Okay. Yeah, I think notable that he wasn't just at right guard again. On the defensive side of the ball, it was much different. Now, corner and linebacker are 2 different things. But at linebacker, you asked Howie the question about Nakobe Dean. First team period out there is Zach Bond alongside Devin White. But it rotated throughout practice. With the ones, we saw Bond and White together. We saw Nakobe Dean and Ben Van Sumeren together. We saw Nakobe Dean and Zach Bond together. We saw Devin White and somebody else together. Jeremiah Trotter even got a junior, even got a couple handful of reps. So this to me is very much like throwing what we have against the wall. Let's see what they have. And we'll get to plays later, but it's worth noting that Zach Bond probably had the best play of the day in coverage of the linebackers. Made a nice play down the seam on a pass intended to CJ Uzama from Kenny Pickett.
Yeah. So we'll look at the linebackers just here. I thought it was telling that it was Bond, right? And I know there was rotation there,
even though it was just one period.
Yeah, because
he got the first shot.
Because I think the first shot was suggestive there, and it shows that I think it shows he's the front runner there. I remember once asking Chip,
you think he's the front runner
over Dean? Yeah, I think if Dean was the front runner, Dean would have been out there first today.
I don't know that. I just don't know that there is a front runner. I feel like it's almost Vic Fangio is like, you want this job, Nakobe, go win this job.
Yeah. Well, okay. So perhaps front runner is not the word. I don't think this is Nakobe Dean's job right now.
Yeah, I agree with that. This is a pedantic argument.
I understand the common football coach, player, executive response when I said if you played a game today, they say, well, we don't play a game today. Mm-hmm. If they played a game today, I think that the group that was out there first would be the first group.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. And then I think they'd be disappointed and they'd go back to the drawing board.
Perhaps so.
Most likely. But yeah. Okay. Now, I think contra that, linebacker is like, oh boy, we got to figure out anything that might work here. I think cornerback is a little bit different. There is the quote unquote good problem to have. Yep. Instead of trying to figure out who can possibly play, they're trying to figure out like, I think these guys can play. Who's our best option? And it started, Darius Slay is obviously the starter on one side. Started at practice with Isaiah Rodgers. He got the majority of the reps over the course of practice, but Keely Ringo worked in as well, and he and Rodgers flip-flopped. With the twos, it was Quinyon Mitchell on the outside, but also taking some reps inside at nickel. I think that is probably the most interesting development to me, that it seems like they're dipping their toe in, can Quinyon Mitchell play inside, especially with Cooper DeJean now out for some time. It suggests to me that, maybe at the moment, at least, if they had to play tomorrow, Ringo and Rodgers are a little bit of a there's a little bit of a drop off to Quinyon Mitchell on the outside. And so they're trying to figure out a way, can this guy still be involved in the defense if he's not going to be a starter on the outside?
I think your interpretation of it's spot on. And I don't know if there's two ways of looking at it.
It's temporary, but I think that's where it stands at the moment.
I don't know if to read that like this is a bad sign about where Quinyon Mitchell is, or it's a good sign about what Isaiah Rodgers and Keely Ringo showed. We were at every mini camp practice. We were at 2 OTA practices. We both came away thinking that Rodgers looked really good, and that Ringo, when he was out there, he missed a day, but when he was out there, he looked really good too. So perhaps the Eagles came away from the spring saying, look, these guys are ready. And Quinyon Mitchell, the first-round pick, you'll see how he develops, but maybe let's try to find a role for him early on. Or it could be the type of thing where Quinyon Mitchell got there, and they're like, well, holy Toledo, right? This is
nice.
Yeah. Dorothy, we're not in the MAC anymore. So I think that's something to certainly pay attention to.
Dorothy. It's the name of my new niece.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations. So happy for you and your
very
family.
Excited.
Yeah.
So you and Les will be doing the show tomorrow. I'm gonna go meet this bad girl.
Yeah. That is awesome. Say hello for Julia and me.
Very excited.
Yep.
Safety.
Hey, wait, is my read on that? Do you think that's do you think there's any reason to be concerned?
No, I do not think it is a concern at all.
Okay.
I think it is more. I think the fact that they're putting him inside is more like, we like this guy, we want to get him on the field, but right now there's not a spot for him.
Gotcha.
Ahead of Keely Ringo and Isaiah Rodgers.
Because there have been examples in the past when, and you've spoken to scouts about this too, where a guy comes in and they see them on the field for the first time, and they're like, well, what were we talking about in the draft room, right? Like, what's this doesn't.
I don't think
totally
that's the case with Quinyon Mitchell.
Okay.
Now today, he gave up a couple completions, but both of them were like extremely tight coverage. One of them was a really nice throw from Kenny Pickett across the middle to Grant Calcaterra, very tight window. We'll get to Pickett later. And the other one was also from Pickett to Britton Covey, like it was like a 5-yard stop, and Quinyon Mitchell was playing back and closed really quickly, and it looked like, it was a really nice play, but it was a short, tight completion. So
we all city like the mayor.